There's a stretch of woods in Staten Island where the trees grow thick and the trails fade into silence. It's the kind of place you'd go to disappear or to hide something. And on January 14th, 2024, that's exactly what someone found. A hiker, out before dawn, spotted something pale wedged between fallen leaves. At first, they thought it was trash, a discarded Halloween prop. But then another bone, and another, a fractured skull, half buried in mud, jeans, bleached by seasons of rain and snow, a single sneaker, sole split open like a scream frozen in time. Forensics would later confirm what the hiker already knew in their gut. This wasn't some forgotten deer. These were human remains. A young man, barely older than a child. No wallet, no phone, no jewelry, just bones and fabric. And a million questions screaming into the void. Who is he? How did he end up here? In this lonely patch of wilderness? And why has no one come forward to claim him? For months, detectives have chased leads that dissolve like fog. Dental records? No matches. Missing persons databases? A wall of silence. Even the clothes he wore, a plain gray t-shirt. Generic sneakers tell them nothing. He's a ghost. A boy trapped between the living and the dead. Erased so completely that not even the earth could swallow his story. But here's the thing about secrets buried in the woods. Eventually, the roots always push them back to the surface. Let's break this down piece by piece. January 14th, 2024, a wooded area near Staten Island's Greenbelt. GPS coordinates 40.5772 degrees north, 74.1485 degrees west. The hiker who found the remains described the scene like this. The bones weren't scattered by animals. They were arranged, like someone tried to hide them, but didn't care enough to bury them. Forensic anthropologists put the age at 15 to 25 years old. Too young for arthritis. Too old for baby teeth. His height, between 5 feet 6 inches and 5 feet 9 inches. But here's what they didn't find. No fractures from a fight. No bullet fragments. No ligature marks on the wrists. Just a skeleton wearing size 8 Vans era sneakers, navy blue, worn at the heels, and a gray Hanes t-shirt. Medium, the kind you buy in a 6-pack at Walmart. At first, the working theory was simple. An unhoused person, maybe a runaway, who succumbed to the cold. But then came the red flags. No sleeping bag, no backpack, no cigarette butts or food wrappers nearby. And the kicker? The body had been there for 3 to 5 years. Think about that. 3 winters, 3 summers, cyclists, birdwatchers, kids cutting through the woods. How did no one see him? That's when the narrative shifted. This wasn't a tragic accident. The way the remains were positioned, tucked under a fallen oak, shielded by thorn bushes, suggested someone deliberately placed him there. Not dumped in a panic. Placed, which means whoever did this had time, had privacy, had a reason to make sure he stayed hidden. But here's the most chilling detail of all. The NYPD ran his DNA through CODIS, the national database for missing persons. They checked dental records against every filed report in the tri-state area. They even tested isotopes in his bones to trace where he might have grown up. Nothing. No matches. No overlaps. No progress. This boy died twice. First, his body. Then, his identity. Because to vanish so completely, no family searching, no friends posting remembering, tributes online, means someone erased him. Long before the woods ever did. Or maybe, someone's still waiting for him to come home. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't a TV crime drama. There's no flashy lab montage. No genius hacker cracking the case in 45 minutes. This is real life. And real life, it's messy. It's frustrating. It's silent. When forensic anthropologists first examined the remains, they focused on 2 questions. How long had he been there? And how did he die? They studied the bones, the way the marrow had dried out, the moss growing in the crevices of his ribs. They analyzed soil samples under his fingernails, pollen trapped in the seams of his shoes. Their conclusion? He'd been lying in those woods for 3 to 5 years, maybe longer. Think about that timeline. If he died in 2019, he could have been a high school sophomore when the world shut down for COVID, a kid who missed prom, graduation, his first real job, or maybe he died in 2021, when New York was reopening, a young adult stepping into a city that was already forgetting him. Either way, his body sat there, unclaimed, unseen, Dental records were their first hope. Detectives sent his jawbone to every dentist in Staten Island, Brooklyn, even Jersey. Nothing. Not a single filling. Not a chipped tooth. Not a brace his receipt matched. Then came the DNA. They extracted it from a femur bone, uploaded it to CODIS, the FBI's national database for missing persons. They waited and waited. Silence. No familial matches. No hits in criminal databases. Not even a distant cousin popping up on 23andMe. It's like this boy was born in a vacuum. So they widened the net. They checked every missing person report in New York State from 2015 to 2021. Teenagers who vanished after school. College students who never came home from parties. Runaways last seen at bus stations. But none of them fit. Not his age. Not his height. Not the timeline. Here's where the theories split. Theory number 1, the runaway. Maybe he was 15. Fed up with a broken home. He packs a duffel bag, buys a bus ticket to the city, and falls into the wrong crowd. No one reports him missing because his family thinks he's better off gone. Or maybe they're the reason he left. But if that's true, why no social media traces? No posts about a new life? No calls home? Even once? Theory number 2, the victim. Staten Island's Greenbelt isn't Central Park. It's 800 acres of dense forest, abandoned trails, and places to hide a body. What if he knew his killer? A friend? A relative? A partner? Someone who lured him to those woods, ended his life, and walked away. But without evidence of trauma, without a weapon, without a motive, how do you prove it? Theory number 3, the invisible boy. This is the hardest one to swallow. What if he had nobody? No family, no friends, no coworkers or teachers to notice he was gone. A foster kid who aged out of the system. A migrant worker with no paperwork. A boy so isolated that his absence didn't even ripple. But here's the problem with all these theories. They're guesses. And guesses don't hold up in court. The clothes offered no help. The sneakers, Vans era, navy blue, were sold at 50 different stores in the tri-state area. The t-shirt? A generic Hanes crewneck. The kind you can buy at any Walmart in America. No logos. No tears. No bloodstains. Then there's the location. The spot where he was found isn't some remote wilderness. It's a 15-minute walk from Rockland Avenue. A 10-minute drive from the Staten Island Mall. People jog there. Couples hike there. How did no one smell decomposition? How did no dog dig up a bone? Unless he wasn't there the whole time. One detective floated a chilling idea. What if the body was moved? Stored somewhere else for years? A freezer? A basement? Then dumped recently to throw off the timeline? It's possible, but without tissue, without organ samples. Forensics can't confirm it. Months passed. Tips trickled in. A woman swore it was her nephew, who went missing after a family fight in 2017. DNA proved otherwise. A retired teacher recalled a student who stopped showing up to class in 2020. The kid moved to Florida. A psychic claimed the boy's name was Michael, and he drowned in a lake. They dragged the lake, found an old bicycle. Dead end, dead end, dead end. The hardest part? Knowing that someone out there has the missing piece. A parent scrolling through true crime forums, ignoring the knot in their stomach. A former friend, now grown, who still wonders why he ghosted them. A killer who hears every rustle of leaves as a confession, but without a name, without a face, without a story. This boy is just bones. A case number, a file gathering dust. And yet, there's a line every detective repeats. The truth hates silence. Sooner or later, a secret cracks. A witness grows a conscience. A family stumbles onto a photo. Maybe it'll take a year, maybe a decade. But this case, it's not cold, it's frozen. And somewhere, someone's sitting on the match that could melt it. Let's play a dangerous game. Let's connect dots that might not exist. Let's give this nameless boy a story. Because when the facts run out, all we have left are possibilities. Staten Island isn't some sleepy town. It's a borough of 500,000 people, where secrets get buried under strip malls and subway noise. And in those shadows, cold cases pile up, names forgotten, files yellowing. Could this boy be one of them? Let's dig. Theory number 1, the boy who vanished after a party. Anthony Jones, 17 years old, 5 feet 7 inches, brown hair, slim build, last seen October 12th, 2018. leaving a house party near Port Richmond. His friend said he was tipsy, laughing about walking home to clear his head. He never made it. His mother reported him missing 3 days later. Cops chalked it up to teenage rebellion. He'll turn up, they said. But Anthony didn't. No credit card activity. No social media logins. Just a single text sent from his phone at 1:17 a.m. that night. Almost home. The distance between that party and the woods where our John Doe was found? 2.7 miles. A 54-minute walk. But here's the catch. Anthony had a silver crown on his left molar. Dental records confirmed it. Our John Doe? No dental work. Not a single filling. So unless Anthony's killer yanked that crown out before dumping his body, it's not him. But wait, what if the records are wrong? What if Anthony never got that crown? What if his mother misremembered? Stranger things have happened. Theory number 2. The college student who never boarded the ferry Joseph Provenzano. 22 years old. 5 feet 9 inches. Last seen November 3rd, 2016. Buying a coffee near the Staten Island ferry terminal. Security cameras caught him checking his watch. Pacing near the boarding gates. Then nothing. His roommate said Joseph was stressed about midterms. His girlfriend said he'd been acting paranoid, convinced someone was following him. But Joseph didn't have enemies. He didn't do drugs. He was a business major with a 3.8 GPA. The ferry terminal is 6 miles from the woods. A short drive, a shorter boat ride. But Joseph's DNA is on file. His mother gave a sample in 2017. The lab compared it to our John Doe. No match. Still, Joseph's father refuses to believe it. DNA can lie. He told reporters last year, "I feel it in my bones. That's my son." Theory number 3. The runaway no one reported. In 2019, a gas station clerk near the Staten Island Mall called police about a kid who'd been sleeping in their bathroom for a week. Looked 16, maybe 17. They said, wore navy Vans, always had a black backpack. By the time cops arrived, he was gone. No one filed a report. No one came forward. Could this be our boy? A kid slipping through cracks so wide. He didn't even leave a shadow. Maybe he hitchhiked from another state. Maybe he escaped an abusive home. Maybe he chose those woods because they felt safer than wherever he came from. But why no backpack? No phone? No trace of him existing at all? Theory number 4. The secret. This is where it gets uncomfortable. In 2015, a Reddit thread popped up in the r/Staten Island forum. User at Shadowwalker91 wrote, "I know a guy who knows a guy. There's a body in the Greenbelt. Teenager. Won't say where." The post got 3 replies. 1 laughing emoji. 2 trolls. Then it vanished. Cold case detectives rediscovered it in 2021. They tracked down at Shadowwalker91, a 34-year-old plumber from New Jersey. He claimed it was a joke. Just messing around. He said, but what if it wasn't? What if someone bragged online? Thinking they'd never get caught. The timing fits. If John Doe died in 2015, his body would have been skeletonized by 2024. But without the exact location from the post, cops can't prove a thing. Theory number 5. The family that knows not all secrets are violent. What if this boy died accidentally? A drug overdose, a fall, a drunken mistake, and the people he was with panicked, hid his body, buried the truth. Maybe they were friends, kids scared of getting in trouble. Maybe they were family, a parent covering up neglect. Whoever did it, they've been living with this for years, passing the woods on their commute, holding their breath during news segments. But guilt is a slow poison. And secrets? They rot from the inside out. The problem with all of this, without DNA, without dental matches, without proof, these theories are just stories, and stories don't solve cases. The NYPD has a folder of 27 potential matches for John Doe SI-24. 27 names of boys and young men who vanished from Staten Island, Brooklyn, even as far as Connecticut. 27 families who've sat in cramped interview rooms, clutching photos, begging for answers. But here's the truth. Most missing persons cases never get solved. Not because cops don't care, not because the public forgets, but because people disappear every day into violence, into fear, into the vast, swallowing unknown. So where does that leave us? With a skeleton, with questions, with with the gnawing dread that this boy's name is sitting in someone's mind, gathering dust. Maybe it's yours, or maybe, years from now, a rookie detective will reopen this file. They'll run the DNA again, and this time a hit. A cousin in Ohio, a half-sister in Texas. A name, but until then, he's everyone, and he's no one. A ghost waiting for someone to say his name out loud. Let's pause the forensics. Let's mute the theories. For a moment, let's stop asking who was he, and ask instead, who loved him? Because this isn't just a skeleton. This is a son, a brother, maybe someone's first crush. A kid who once scraped his knee riding a bike too fast. A teenager who blasted music through cheap headphones. A young adult who hated his part-time job. A person who existed, who mattered, who left a hole in the world when he vanished. The mother somewhere. There's a woman who still sets a plate for him at Thanksgiving. Maybe she's in Queens, staring at his childhood photos, tracing his face with a thumb worn raw from worry. She texts his old number every birthday. Happy 21st. Sweetheart, I miss you. The messages never deliver. But she keeps sending them. Because what if he changed his number? What if he's out there, angry or ashamed or lost? Or maybe she's a woman who can't report him missing, who doesn't speak the language, who's afraid of cops, who thinks, he left because of me. She lights candles in church, praying to saints she's not sure are listening. The friend there's a guy, now in his late 20s, who still brings him up at bars. Remember my buddy from high school? Dude just ghosted. One day he was there. The next, poof. Weird. Right. The others shrug. They've heard the story before. But this friend Googles Staten Island John Doe every few months. Stares at the facial reconstruction. Wonders. Or maybe it's a girl who kept his Snapchat streak alive for a year after he disappeared. Sent stupid selfies to a gray ghost icon. Where are you? She'd type. Then delete. Now she's married. Has a kid. But sometimes, when she's rocking her daughter to sleep, she hums the song he used to play in his car. The community for years. People walked those woods. A couple on their first date. Holding hands where his ribs lay scattered. A dad teaching his son to identify oak trees. Stepping over the femur hidden under leaves. Joggers blasting podcasts about murder mysteries. Unaware they're sprinting past one. And now they feel it. The guilt. The how did I not know? The creeping sense that tragedy isn't something that happens out there. It's here. In your park. On your street. In the quiet gaps between your ordinary days. The unanswered questions: what was his favorite meal? Did he prefer dogs or cats? Was he the class clown or the quiet kid in the back row? Did he ever get to kiss someone he loved? These aren't trivial details. They're the fabric of a life. The proof that someone was here. And without them, we're just burying bones. Not a person. The truth about closure isn't a luxury. It's a lifeline. Ask any parent of a missing child. They'll tell you. The not knowing is a prison. You can't grieve. Can't move forward. Can't even sleep. Because what if he comes home tonight? What if he doesn't? This case isn't about solving a puzzle. It's about handing a mother the key to her cell. It's letting a friend finally say, rest in peace. It's giving a name to the boy who became a ghost in his own life. The ripple effect, think about this. When someone vanishes, they don't disappear. They scatter. They live in the coworker who covers their shifts for weeks, not wanting to admit they're gone. In the teacher who marks them absent until the system auto-fails them. In the landlord who throws out their belongings, tossing photos of people who'll never know they're gone. And now, they're in us. In everyone who's watched this video, who's wondered, what if that was my brother, my friend, my son? The police. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Look at his face. Not the forensic sketch, the person behind it. The kid who probably hated math homework, who got nervous before haircuts, who rolled his eyes at his mom's corny jokes. If you recognize him, if you've ever known someone who fits this broken timeline, speak. Even if you're scared, even if you think it's nothing, that nothing might be the thread that pulls his story out of the dark. The cost of silence: every day this boy goes unnamed. The world moves on. The woods grow thicker. Witnesses forget. Memories blur. But pain? Pain doesn't fade. It fossilizes. It becomes a bone-deep ache that outlives case files and DNA kits. The last word will end with this. In the NYPD's missing persons unit, there's a wall of photos, hundreds of faces, smiling, serious, goofy, all frozen in time. One day, they'll add John Doe SI-24's reconstruction to that wall. He'll stare out beside Anthony, Joseph, and the others, another face in the crowd, unless someone steps forward, unless someone says his name. His name. That's all we're asking for. Just his name. Let me tell you about a candle in the NYPD's cold case unit. There's a desk with a single flickering candle. It's not for ambience. It's a reminder. Light survives the dark. And right now, that light is trained on John Doe SI-24. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. The clock is ticking every day. Evidence degrades. Memories fade. Witnesses die. But Detective Maria Ruiz, lead investigator on this case, refuses to let time win. Her team is combing through old tips with a new lens. That anonymous call from 2019 about a fight in the woods? They're re-interviewing the caller. The Instagram DM from a user claiming their cousin knew the victim? They're tracing IP addresses. Even the smallest detail matters now. The brand of his sneakers, Vans Era, has a cult following. Detectives are scouring vintage clothing forums, looking for posts from 2015 to 2021 selling or trading Navy size 8s. They're contacting Vans corporate to track bulk purchases. And then there's the shirt, that plain gray Hanes crew neck. They're working with textile experts to analyze fading patterns. Could UV exposure pinpoint the exact year he died? It's a long shot, but long shots are all they have left. The face in the crowd in March 2024. The NYPD released a new facial reconstruction. Not the sterile, pixelated sketch from before, a hauntingly lifelike 3D render. They aged him backward, forward, added hairstyles, scars, birthmarks. Look at his eyes. Detective Ruiz pleaded at the press conference. Someone out there remembers these eyes. The render went viral. Over 12 million shares. A TikTok filter morphed users into his face. A Brooklyn street artist painted his likeness on a mural titled Named. But still, no name. Then came the break. In April, a retired nurse from Staten Island emailed the tip line. I swear I saw this boy in 2018. He was sitting outside the Staten Island Mall, crying. I asked if he needed help. He said, I'm okay. I've regretted walking away every day since. No name, no location, but finally a moment, a thread to pull. The science of hope forensic genetic genealogy, the same tool that caught the Golden State Killer, is now their ace in the hole. Labs are building his family tree from DNA, searching for third cousins, half-siblings, anyone who shares his bloodline. It's a slow process, a frustrating one, but in 2022, this method put a name to the boy in the box after 65 years of silence. If it worked for him, why not here? Meanwhile, isotope analysis of his bones suggests he grew up in the Midwest, maybe Ohio, maybe Indiana. Detectives are now partnering with schools in those regions, digging through yearbooks from 2005 to 2015, looking for a face, a smile, a name. The community's role this isn't just a police investigation anymore. It's a crowdsourced reckoning. Reddit threads dissect the t-shirt stitching. True crime podcasts blast his reconstruction to millions. A high school teacher in Texas assigned students to write letters to the NYPD with theories. One wrote, what if he was an immigrant? My dad came here alone at 16. He said you can disappear in America just by existing. But the most vital clue could come from you. Yes, you. Did you work at a Staten Island McDonald's between 2015 to 2021? A boy bought fries with coins. Did you tutor a quiet kid who stopped showing up? Did you swipe past a missing person poster and think, that's not my business? It's your business now. The stakes, let's be blunt, most cold cases never close. But this one's different. Why? Because 3 to 5 years isn't decades. People who knew him are still alive, still scrolling Facebook, still passing those woods, still waking up at 3 a.m. wondering. And because of that candle on Detective Ruiz's desk, she's not alone. Families of the missing have started a vigil. Every Friday night, they gather at the Greenbelt entrance with flashlights, chanting the same phrase, say his name, say his name, say his name. What you can do, look at his sneakers. Insert detailed image description. If you've ever owned, sold, or seen these shoes, speak. Study his face. Not just the eyes, the jawline, the brow, the way his hair might have fallen. Think local. Did your neighbor suddenly move? Did a classmate vanish mid-semester? Did your coworker quit without notice? This isn't snitching. This isn't gossip. This is giving a boy back to the world. The final truth, John Doe SI. 24 will never graduate college, never fall in love, never grow old. But he deserves this one thing, to stop being a mystery and start being a memory. His mother deserves to bury him. His friends deserve to mourn him. We deserve to know how close we walk to evil or to tragedy. So here's where we stand: a candle, a render, a pair of sneakers. And you, what happens next? That's up to you. Let's talk about guilt. Not the kind that lands you in jail. The quiet kind. The kind that seeps into your bones when you stay silent. Right now, someone is holding their breath. Maybe it's a man in Queens, sweating over a decade-old lie. A woman in New Jersey, deleting her search history after looking up how long DNA lasts. A teenager in Ohio, staring at their dad's high school yearbook, thinking, that's him. That's the boy in the news. This isn't a hypothetical. You might know something. Did your uncle stop mentioning his friend from the city after 2019? Did your coworker quit their job abruptly, claiming they needed to move after a strange phone call? Does your neighbor's garage stay locked? Even in summer, even when the neighborhood kids beg to borrow tools. Speak. Not tomorrow. Not when you're ready. Now. Because here's the truth. John Doe SI-24's killer isn't the only one who buried him. Every person who stays silent digs the grave deeper. What if you're wrong? So what? Let the cops decide. Your job isn't to solve the case. Your job is to spark it. That cousin who ghosted the family group chat? Tag them in the comments. That friend who always joked about knowing where the bodies are buried? Send them this video. That nagging voice in your head saying, what if? Listen to it. The math of maybes, let's break it down. 8.4 million people in New York City. 27,000 hours of security footage deleted every day. 144,000 missing persons reports filed in the US last year alone. The numbers are chaos, but chaos has cracks. And all it takes is one crack to split this case wide open. Your tip could be that crack. The boy in your backyard. This isn't about Staten Island. It's about the girl who vanished from your hometown. The man who never returned from his night shift. The face you pass on a missing poster and think, I've seen him somewhere. Algorithms bury these stories. Time erases them. But you can resurrect them. Share this video. Not just once. Flood your feed. Email it to your aunt in Florida. Text it to your group chat. Print the facial reconstruction and tape it to your coffee shop's bulletin board. Make it unavoidable. The last word when you click skip on this video. You're clicking past a mother's unanswered prayers. When you scroll to cat memes, you're scrolling over a grave. When you stay silent, you're siding with whoever wanted this boy forgotten. But if you share this, if you speak up, you become the reason a detective slams their desk and says, we've got him. You become the sound of a cell door clanging shut. You become the hand pulling a name out of the dark. So what's it gonna be?